So, Dhammapada. Everybody have a book who needs one? If you have one at home already, you can leave it here if you want, or you can take it with you. Either way. Okay, so we are on we're starting section 11. It's on page 63, I think. I don't know if both versions are the same page, but no. Yeah, because the Pali is in the one with the 97. Page 97. Okay. 97 in the little brown one? Yep. Okay. 11. Number 11, yes. Dharavaga, it's old age. I think I'm going to read this section first, and you can read along or just listen, and then we'll discuss it. On page 63. When this world is ever ablaze, why this laughter? Why this jubilation? Shrouded in darkness, why don't you seek the light? Behold this body, a painted image, a mass of heaped up sores, infirm, full of hankering, with nothing lasting or stable. Fully worn out is this body, a nest of disease and fragile. This foul mass breaks up before life ends in death. These dove-colored bones are like gourds that lie scattered about in autumn. Having seen them, how can we seek delight? The body is a city built of bones, plastered with flesh and blood, containing within decay and death, pride and contempt. Even gorgeous royal chariots wear out, and this body too wears out. But the Dhamma of the good does not age. Thus the good make it good. Thus the good make it known to the good. Like a bull, they grow only in bulk, but their wisdom does not grow. Through many a birth in samsara have I wandered in vain, seeking the builder of this house. Repeated birth is indeed suffering. O house builder, you are seen. You will not build this house again, for all your rafters are broken and your ridgepoles shattered. My mind has reached the unconditioned. I have attained the destruction of cravings. Those who in youth have not led the holy life, who have failed to acquire wealth, languish like old cranes in a pond without fish. Those who in youth have not led the holy life, who have failed to acquire wealth, lie like worn out arrows shot from a bow, sighing over the past. Okay.
What page are you on?
Well, it starts, I'm on 104, was the last one. It started on 97.
Sorry, Olive.
Okay, thank you.
So, some nice imagery there. And of course, with the way it starts with the world ever ablaze, that image and that, wow, it's a metaphor, but it's also a reality in many ways, many times. The world on fire, and the Buddha, of course, used that in one of his earliest sermons, as we know it. The tradition says that he was staying with some fire worshippers, a group of 500 of them at the time when he gave the fire sermon about everything being on fire. And so we see that same image coming in here. And they all became arahants when that discourse was delivered. So what do you think of that first stanza? Why this laughter? Why this jubilation? Shrouded in darkness, why don't you seek the light? I think everybody in here is seeking the light. Maybe has quite a lot of that Dhamma light in your life already. But sometimes you do think about things we hear about or see, or we experience in our friends or family, where there just seems to be no regard for the reality of what happens to human beings. And it just is such an important message from the Buddha to really take in the truth of samsara. I remember this monk who was German, and he said that when he was a young man, he was with friends at a tavern, and everybody was drinking pretty heavily at this place apparently, and the building caught on fire, and he left, but many people didn't even leave. They perished in the fire of this building, and he saw it all happening, and he said that was what made him become a monk. Just to see that level of heedlessness, that level of being unaware, and that's a striking image. But the jubilation, the intoxication, the Buddha also uses intoxication a lot of times as a way to talk about how kind of lost we can be in all the delicious things of the world, and not really understanding the true nature of reality.
I do find this a little challenging, because I know, like with Sukha and Pitta, that there is joy, there is rapture, there are pleasures in the world, even knowing this, just as as we realize a sense of no self, of the nature of suffering and the nature of change, it actually leads us to compassion for the suffering of our own suffering and the sufferings of others.
Mm-hmm.
So when it starts off that question, why this laughter? Well, as long as it's setting that context, that the laughter, which is one of ignorance and avoidance.
Yes, exactly. The jubilation is I think intended to be obviously different than the kind of joy, spiritual happiness and spiritual joy, and the joy of generosity, the joy of keeping precepts. There are so many things in the practice that are joyful. We just finished this retreat at Cloud Mountain, 9 days of joy. It's all different kinds of spiritual joy. So, yeah, it was good. We had a good time, but it's not that kind of time. Yeah. Yeah. Behold this body, a painted image, a mass of heaped up sores, infirm, full of hankering, with nothing lasting or stable. So that, really seeing the body as a sankhara that arises and ceases, that comes together and then breaks apart eventually. And the beauty of really facing that is really quite profound, because we all go through that one way or another, and we're not so unprepared and surprised and wringing our hands with grief when it comes, because we may feel grief, we may feel sad, with the implications of what happens as we reach old age or die. But it's so different if we've been reflecting on this. I remember, how many of you know who Bhante Gunaratana is? So a couple, three, four of you. He's a Sri Lankan monk who's quite elderly now. I think he might be in his late 90s. And he has Bhavana Society in the East Coast. I think it's in West Virginia. And he's been in the United States a long time. But a number of years ago, he had he needed heart surgery. And he said that, before the surgery, there were 4 different doctors who came to him to talk to him. You know how they'll do before they, the anesthesiologist and the main surgeon and the assistant. And he said each time he had an opportunity to say to them, I've been a monk for, it was probably like 50 years at that point. I've been a monk for 50 years, and every day since I was 22, or maybe it was younger, I don't know, but every day I've reflected on death. And I want you to know that if this doesn't go well, it's okay. Don't feel bad. It's not a problem. He's comforting the doctors. It's very sweet. He's still around, but we all know it's not going to last, Yeah. So this is like such a different approach to life and death that the Buddha is encouraging us into. And the idea of the painted body, I had an experience in practice during teaching the retreat at Cloud Mountain, where there was more to it. But one of the things that I saw in this experience was that human beings' bodies appeared as bubble wrap with nothing inside. And that's kind of what we are. It's packaging. The body, the mental activity, what would be called nama rupa in the chain of dependent origination. It's packaging. That's not our true nature. That all arises and ceases, and it doesn't have a substantial core. And so, seeing this, this body is a painted image, and then looking at the nature of, living beings, the problems the body has, I used to think about the microbiome. There's so many critters in here. This can't possibly be me, There's a lot going on in there and full of hankering, all the emotional, like the craving and the wanting to get rid of, with nothing that lasts or is stable. And we can go through a part of our life in the beginning where we don't want to think about that at all, so far off in the future. But then pretty soon we start to feel those changes, and our parents are getting old, and then we witness their passing away, and then we are starting to feel it even more as it goes along, and we can still paint it up. Was it Ajahn Chah or Ajahn Buddhadasa? It's like, yeah, you can paint the toilet really nice and make it look really good, but inside it's still, what it is, and the body is that way. Any thoughts? So fully worn out is this body, a nest of disease and fragile.
The only comment is just, I love the poetry of these dove-colored bones. They're like gourds that lie scattered about the body.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's enough.
Okay. I thought we just read through the whole thing.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, Stephen.
Okay.
But it's like I know it's quite the image, and to think about what it must be like to live in a culture where bodies are left to lie out and you see this decay and disintegration happening as you walk by, so it's got to be a powerful reminder. And I feel, I grew up, how many of you grew up in a culture where there were open casket funerals? Some people have never seen them, a lot of people. And I feel like something's lost with that. To see the person that you had such a strong association with when they were alive in the casket, it really is. My experience of it has been, especially when it was someone really close to me, my grandparents, my father, it really brings you so face to face with the reality of death. And for me, in those instances, there was a very difficult to describe kind of joy is the wrong word, but there is a sweetness in the sorrow. There's a connection, like the veil between this world and the next thins. And there's a spiritual uplift that I've had at those times. And I just don't have the same experience when it's a memorial service months later, where you're only talking about what this person did in this lifetime. Yeah. So living in a culture where you really see the body decay would be powerful. And I only have been in India once at Bodh Gaya, where the Buddha was awakened, and when there was someone pass away and they'd carry the body through the streets, it had a cloth over it, but they're banging, drums and cymbals and walking through the streets. And it's like, that's such a reminder to everyone. And we used to, they'd have the funeral procession after the service, and the casket gets loaded into the funeral car, and everybody follows, with their lights on, and you see this funeral procession. If you're not part of it, you see it go by, and you're reminded, this is what happens to all of us. Why do we want so much to push it away and act like this isn't how it works, and then be so unprepared when it comes close to us?
That's a question that I have for myself, the pushing of it away. And the answer that I partially have is because the Dhamma, my real knowing, isn't strong enough.
So you're not spending as much time as you need to just in the Dhamma.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I really want to encourage, that recognizing that connection to the Dhamma, the unconditioned, is not far away. It's not like we have to go through years of sitting meditation and have lightning strike, but we can be aware and present right now with this moment, with whatever we're feeling. And it actually is a more open opportunity when we really turn towards what we are painful experiences, our suffering. And our suffering comes even in that when we see ourselves pushing it away, pushing whatever it is away, or trying to draw something to us, if we it's the suffering that gives us that opportunity to open up and really experience, really be present with those fears, the whatever shame we might feel in our life, with whatever fears, or whatever insecurities we might have, however that dukkha presents itself, to really allow ourselves to be present with it and feel the Dhamma as the witness. The Dhamma's there in that witness position. So it's mindfulness, but it's also clear comprehension. It's also sampajanya. And when you just spend more time there, more time with that. So, it's like most of the time we're trying to cover up those feelings, or we're trying to just get on with it, right? Because we've got a lot to do. Like what you've been going through, that's a lot to do. I hope that you'll have more time to be able to be present with it and not let any opportunity go by. I mean, we all have our coping mechanisms that we developed from the time we were small. But when we use those to try to, keep the feelings down, just cope with them, we don't get anywhere. We don't get real relief. But when we actually face it, we feel it in our body, we observe what we're actually experiencing, get to know when the sense of self is engaged and trying to push all that away or to pull comfort towards us, and really know when that sense of self is let go of. Feel the grasping and know when you're not grasping. And feel what that feels like, the freedom of that, the peacefulness in the heart. And the more time we spend with that, the more familiar we become with it. Eventually we develop the confidence that no matter what happens, we can go to that. We can face it. We can be with it. And it will leave us safe. There's really nothing to be afraid of. Nothing that can happen in this world to be afraid of. Yes, Steve.
It seems like it's right there with aging, and that is like part of getting older is the sense of time running out. And I guess I notice I have like a lot of grasping around like that feeling like time is running out, like a kind of urgency and anxiety, actually, more anxiety than urgency, I think. And I'm trying to work with that. I feel like my relationship with time is one of struggle. So I wondered if you have anything to say.
I do. It's a very important subject because time is only a function of this conventional reality. It's not true. It's just a mechanism. And it's a mechanism for measuring how long anything lasts, including this body. It's measuring our time till death, really. And if you reflect on, okay, first of all, one reflection is the Dhamma, the unconditioned, is timeless. It's not just timeless because it's suitable for all generations, for all periods in history. It's not that. It is outside of time. So the awakened mind rests in the Dhamma. And when the body dies, it is outside of time.
That could be a relief.
Yeah, so that's where you're going. That's where we all really belong. That's what Ajahn Chah called our true home. And the other reflection that can help is, well, what would I do with my time that I haven't already done? What would I see that I haven't already seen? And what value would it be? It's all more sankharas. It's more things that have no real substance.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's really crucial. Like this, we'll see it here. It's like another thing that happened in that experience where I saw the body's just packaging was to see samsara. All of samsara was just clouds going across the sky. But when I looked closely, they weren't clouds like we see. It was paper, white paper cut out like a child would make a cloud. And these clouds were pasted on this roll of white paper that just keeps going around. And it's just that. It's just this thin paper on top of more thin paper. And that's everything in this world. It's just paper. And we need to reflect on that. Because we cling to it and we suffer. We cling to paper and we suffer. Because everything in this world disintegrates eventually. Or, you know, that in the chanting book, there's the chant that has the all that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise, will become separated from me. It's like, it's all paper. It will deteriorate. So that helps us. It helps us to seek out, or we don't even have to seek out, to rest in awareness, which is mindfulness, which is the door to the deathless, the door to the unconditioned. That's how we experience it. That's how we let go of all the fears. And you can do it any moment. You can do it all the time. Everything that arises that's uncomfortable, that's anxiety producing, that's anything, we can be present with that in a way that we can be calm, be peaceful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, so the dove-colored bones, like gourds scattered around in the autumn. Such a beautiful image. And the seeking delight, again, is the delight in our sensual pleasures, delight in what, you know, is very fleeting. The body is a city built of bones, plastered with flesh and blood. So that somewhat similar to the image I had in that experience, just recognizing that it's so superficial, you know, just kind of covered over, containing within decay and death. You know, one time someone was telling me, and you may know this already, but it was kind of an image I hadn't had before. It was a long time ago now. But when the body comes into a crisis before death, that the microbes in the body just start to take it over. And I never thought about that. It's like, well, how can we be without these microbes? Well, we can't. We can't even live without those microbes. This is part of the whole process of how the body works. And to think that, you know, as soon as there's this closing down of the systems in the body that those microbes begin to consume and take over the body. It's so clear that the body is not who we are. If we're attached to the body, we are just attached to suffering. And when we worry about the body, we want to reflect on that, like why should I worry about this? This is really not who I am. This is really destined. The body is just doing what bodies are supposed to do. They get born, they grow up, they get old, and they die. And that's what their nature is. When we really take in the truth of what nature is, we can be happy. We don't have to be anxious about it. We don't have to worry about it. And the more we reflect like that, and again, it's that sort of sad but sweet, you kind of like you feel that spiritual connection, and you know that, yeah, this is nothing to hold on to. Paper on paper. And I like this one, what does this, body as a city built of bones plastered with flesh and blood, containing decay and death, pride and contempt. It kind of like brings us close to like, why do I think so much of myself? Like, yeah, in a spiritual context, like, who do you think you are? Like, it's like, yeah, there's nothing, there's nothing here to compare to someone else, to be better than or worse than, same as. There's nothing here except the five all arising and ceasing. It's a different use of sankhara. So one of the five is sankharas, the activities, the mental activities, but also sankhara. Sankhara is a word that covers all things that are impermanent. So all of that's impermanent. Our body, our feelings, our perceptions, our mental activities, our sense consciousness. None of it's reliable. None of it's ourself. And then we have the pretty classic comparison to royal chariots. Like, I guess it's a Tesla now. Is that, something really cool, fancy. I remember it was many years ago now. I think it was Dolly Parton. Yeah, I think it was in a movie she did. She's like, nobody needs a $60,000 car. And it's like we have these things in our world that are these gorgeous royal chariots, and they wear out. No matter how fancy it is, no matter how well built it is, it's going to wear out. And the body also wears out. But the Dhamma doesn't age. There's no time. There's no deterioration. And recognizing that we can use the words Dhamma and mindfulness interchangeably. There are quite a few other words you can use in the same way, Nibbana, to point to that, but they're all pointers. They're not definitions. It's just to try to guide us towards that spiritual truth, the reality of what is beyond this conventional world. Or maybe we could think of what underlies that. So the good, make it known to the good. So the good here would be those who are attuned to this Dhamma, to this reality, and they make it known. They share that. We share it with each other. And we can do that in so many circumstances. Like somebody was asking me how to be a good friend to someone who just lost her husband. We don't have to, in fact, we don't want to preach to anybody, but we can be there in that context of reality of what it's like to lose someone we love, or to be heading in that direction ourselves. So, someone coming to visit who knows they don't have a long time left to live, and how to be in that context and be support by continuing to touch back again and again to that ultimate truth. And I like to degenderize this. The person of little learning grows old like a bull. They grow only in bulk, but wisdom does not grow. And we certainly don't want to be that way. And none of us here would be, otherwise we wouldn't be here. Not just kind of lumbering through life. We're actually paying attention at least part of the time. And then this whole section here at the end of the house builder, this is quite a famous image, and there's a really cool song that Reverend Hungsher wrote. And I don't know if did you ever hear his music, Joyce?
I heard quite a bit of his music. It's so long ago. So,
do you still have it? Can someone kind of share it with you again?
like, is there a CD or something? Because I kind of think I might actually have that CD.
You might have it.
I'm gonna write it out to myself to look for that, because I actually have a sense that I might have seen it recently.
Yeah, write that down. Reverend Hungsher. I think the one you want to look at is Paramita. I think it's called Paramita.
It's a CD.
It's a CD. I think I only know of two, but you probably have both of them. Or even if you have one, see if the house builder is on there.
Craving is the builder of this house?
I'm sorry, what, Amber?
Is it Craving is the builder of this house?
Yes, that would be it. Do you have it there, Amber?
See, I found the list of songs on the CD. Let me see if I can find it.
Can you play it on YouTube?
It could be online. It could be.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's technically astute.
Oh yeah.
What did you look for?
I googled his name and Paramita.
How do you spell his name?
It is
H-E-N-G.
H-E-N-G S-U-R-E. And it's 2 words. Oh, I can't play it because I'm recording.
Oh, let me see if I can find it. I'll just take a little detour here for a minute.
Speaking of home, this came popping right up. Could people turn in your songbook to page 10? This is one of the Buddha's descriptions. One of the many times the Buddha talked about home was in the Dhammapada, this collection of the Buddha's early teachings. And he talked about not so much home, but a house. And it's applicable. It fits perfectly with our text tonight and next week, because he sees the house fall down, the house he built. And he's not talking about a house, he's talking about his life. And the architect of his life was desire, craving. It's just desire. And he sat still long enough that he saw craving calm, just get quiet and go away. He was hui guang, hui guang, hui guang. He was reflecting, turning, they say, turning the light back, and also fan wen, turning his six senses back to the point where they weren't running out anymore. And he had this profound sense of sufficiency, self-sufficient, enough. This word kept popping up in the Buddha's mind, enough, I got enough. I don't need any more. And craving just went quiet. It just stopped being so hot. And everything quit. His whole identity, the construct of me and mine and the world around me based on running out and getting stuff, just kind of withered. And craving came to an end, and the house fell down. He realized that his whole world was based on me and mine wanting stuff. When you stopped wanting because you realized that you were looking in the wrong direction, that it was all inside, it just flipped. And they say this was the Buddha's, the Theravada tradition says this is what the Buddha said first upon awakening, not qi zai, qi zai, qi zai, yi qie zhong sheng jie fo, xing jie kan zo fo. That's not what the Buddha said first, according to Theravada. Strange, strange, all living beings of the Buddha. They say he said this first. This is another version. Craving is the builder of this house. Craving is the builder of this house. Through many a rebirth in samsara wandering, I sought but did not find the builder of this house. How painful, how sorrowful to be born again and again. Craving is the builder of this house. Craving is the builder of this house. O house builder, I see you at last. You will build no house anymore. Your ridge pole shatters, your rafters all fall down. My mind realizes the unborn, and craving comes. Craving comes. Craving comes to an end. Craving is the builder of this house. Craving is the builder of this house. So, food for thought for our homework assignment.
I remember we meeting at the monastery and we could hear him practicing his banjo upstairs.
That's pretty fun.
So does he not play music anymore?
I have no idea. You know, he spends a lot of time in Australia, I think, and I haven't seen him in a long time. It would be very nice to connect again at some point, but I guess
Is the unborn and the deathless the same thing?
it is. So the Nibbana Sutta talks about the unborn, the unmade, let's see, how's it go? The unconditioned, unborn, uncreated, unformed. And he said, and the Buddha said, if there weren't the unborn, etc., there would be no escape from the born, the created, the formed, the conditioned. And so, yes, it's just another way of talking about
Because he put
the deathless.
Yeah, I thought, oh, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Huh.
Yep.
Are you
Yeah.
recording this?
Yes, Amber's recording this.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube.
It'll be go up on YouTube.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I'm awkwardly hiding in the back here.
Yeah. Yeah, so here it is, the original text and our translation that we have in front of us. Through many a birth in samsara have I wandered in vain, seeking the builder of this house. Repeated birth is indeed suffering. O house builder, you are seen. You will not build this house again. For all your rafters are broken and your ridgepoles shattered. My mind has reached the unconditioned. I have attained the destruction of cravings. So this is of course, the song, and that's the body. But as he said, it's not just the body; it's also the mental activity. It's actually all of our social, cultural, and religious conditioning. It's all of our personal conditioning, what we were told we were when we were born. You know, you're this gender, you're this race, you're this kind of person, you're good at math, you're not good at art, whatever they told you, you know, that's our conditioning. And we just, of course, just accept that when we're young, when we're little. And then we still carry a lot of views and opinions and attitudes from that. And all of that is not yourself. None of that is who you are, who any of us is. And it's one of the obstacles. So the major obstacle to awakening is this sense of self. This idea that this is who I am.
So my question is, what is it that's part of us that decides not to be conditioned?
I don't think there's a decision. It's driven by craving.
Even that is driven by craving.
The craving pulls us into the next life. And the craving is there, and the past karma puts the imprint on how that life will emerge and how it will form and what those qualities will be. So what we do in this life matters. It creates the future. But past and future is all part of samsara. It's not the unborn, it's not timeless. But if you, I have often told the story that my mom always had a long list of projects she wanted to do. She always had a lot of ideas about things she wanted to do. And my uncle, her brother, he said, you know, we're going to have to put that list in your coffin with you. This is how we are. We're not done. We don't want to go, and we want to finish. We want to not just even the things we want to see, the bucket list, but it's also that we want to be, we want to feel, we want to know, we want to do. We want to, why do we keep clinging to the sense of self? It's because we feel alive. We want to have that feeling. Sometimes we can be even a kind of addicted to anger, for example, because it makes us feel so alive. It makes us feel so powerful and strong. And there are other emotions like that solidify the sense of self. You can feel the sense of self coming into its firmness at those times. And it's delusion. It's really foolish. Yes, my.
So I have the feeling that I should be preparing for death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yeah, exactly, but it all seems very practical level. I'm sure it's not, but still there's practical stuff.
The practical stuff does need to be taken care of in this life all the way along, right? Every day we got to deal with the body, needs to eat, needs to defecate, needs to, like have water and be cleaned up and all of that. And yeah, there are preparations for dying, so you don't leave a big mess for the people who are left behind and all of that kind of preparation. And that needs to be taken care of. And most importantly, to see the truth, to spend time with that reality that is not this world. And that's the real preparation. So we can be like Bhante Gunaratana. It's like, if this doesn't go well, it's okay. It's all right. I've looked at this plenty. I had this premonition once a long time ago that toward the end of my life, I would be blind. And I told this other nun that I was living with about this. And she said, well, I had the premonition that I would die at 102. I have no idea if will come true or not, and it doesn't matter. But I had this idea that I would die at 102 and that the last few years I'd be blind. And she said, that's okay. You will have seen enough anyway. And I loved it. It's like, that's so true. Like, have we already seen enough? Have we already tried enough of everything? Enough? How much do we have to do before we know it's enough? Like he was talking about what's enough. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, but then that opens the question to those that die so young or as babies.
Yeah, well, there's another life around the corner. That ain't the last one. If they had enough craving to come into this lifetime, they'll probably move on to another one. Assuredly. And maybe the conditions will be better, hopefully. But they didn't have enough time to do anything really bad to screw things up, so maybe they're going to be okay. I mean, it's not to make light of it. It's such a hard thing when you lose a child. And to know that this happens all the time. Birth and death happens all the time.
Well, I think of the Buddha story, and I think of that, he was Hindu, and that he came from the palace.
Not exactly.
Well, kind
Hindu.
of.
Well, that's
per se.
It's not exactly. I think he wasn't actually a Brahmin. He was in a warrior caste. You don't get a lot of sense of their religious base, but Hinduism wasn't actually quite a thing yet.
Oh, really?
That's my understanding.
Okay, so he came from this culture, and it was all conditioned, and then he decided, he was going to leave it, and wandered around for 7 years or 6 years, whatever.
Right.
Left his family, and then one day is sitting under the Bodhi tree and says, I got it. And so
it's a very quaint kind of description of it. I like it, Olive. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, that's me. And so he
it's not you, but that's okay.
read it somewhere. Yeah. so I could apply that to my life.
Hmm.
I could say, I was a Catholic and I grew up in London, and I decided I was going to leave it and come to the US, and so, wandered around, pretty much wandered around, and, decided one day I was going to study Theravada Buddhism. So the similarity to me is, so that's why my question is, in the Buddha's example, that he took this time out and decided to investigate. Is that the thing that happens to us humans when we decide to turn towards Buddhism or the Buddha way?
Yeah.
Is it that investigation?
A lot of times we're brought to the path, but from suffering. We're suffering. And sometimes that suffering even comes from having virtually everything you're supposed to want, and it's still not okay because it doesn't make us happy. And we could go through many lifetimes not having that urge to just go through, and some of the social conditioning is a little bit different now, but when I was growing up, you're supposed to behave yourself, be a good student, and get good grades, and maybe you go to college, or maybe you get married and you have a family, and you just follow along the whole rigmarole that everybody does, right? You don't even put a lot of thought into it. Well, in my lifetime, that changed a fair bit because people had more options. But that's the benefit of having a pretty stable society. And then there are so many times when that doesn't exist at all for people, stability of society. So it's but what really brings us to the spiritual path, regardless of which spiritual path is available to you, a lot of times it's suffering. I mean, I really got serious. I always was interested, but I really got serious when my father died. And that brings us to it. Those heavenly messengers, old age, sickness, and death. When we really, and that's what happened that's the way the Buddhist story is. It's like he realized there's old age, sickness, and death, and this is going to happen to him. And he's like, this is what plagues all of all beings.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you look at the fear in the animal world. What are they afraid of? They don't want to die. They don't want that misery either. And then, we get serious about that, and we somehow recognize, like I said, that when you're really close to the dying process and close to this happening, and this person you're so connected to is gone, but there's something. There's something beyond this world. And when we get that sense, and especially if we have the benefit of a Buddha's awakening to show us what it is, then we really want to pursue it. Like one person I know is like, they saw the Four Noble Truths, the first one, there's suffering. They're like, oh, thank goodness someone is acknowledging this because I'm miserable. And I think she was a teenager at the time, and to just recognize, and a kind of a joy arises out of that. One of those kinds of joy, when we recognize there's something beyond this conventional world, is pamoja. It's a joy in that. It's really right there for us.
Thank you.
And it leads us onwards to deeper understanding. Yeah.
This is probably a really.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. How long will it take to get used to death? Do you need decades?
As long as it takes you to let go. It's just about letting go and facing all of our inner fears, facing what is uncomfortable, getting used to being with the discomfort. But it's being with it from that witness position that's not in the discomfort.
The discomfort. That's arising when you face into it, when you stop trying to fight it.
Yes. You stop trying to get rid of it. You stop trying to bring comfort in, because, there's a place in the suttas where the Buddha says most people, all they know about trying to get rid of discomfort is to seek pleasure. We look for something that's going to distract us from it. We look for something that's going to feel good. And it's just a ping pong thing back and forth between suffering and, misery and the fleeting happiness that sensuality brings us. But it's not just that we sit with the pain, it's that we're not in the pain. We're observing the pain, we're observing the suffering, we're observing whatever thoughts, painful memories that arise, whatever feelings arise, whatever desires arise. It's like to be willing to be present with it. And the part that's observing is not desiring. The part that's observing is not in pain. That part is seeing it with wisdom. And that's the part that we want to recognize as our true home.
So time again, really, this, I was asking that partly tongue in cheek, because of course there's no formula. That could happen for one person within a year, I suppose.
It could happen in 10 minutes.
It could happen in 10 minutes.
Anybody could just check out right now, right in this room. You just never know. We only have the idea that it's far off because it hasn't happened yet. Like, how many days have you lived where you haven't died? It seems like it's going to keep going. But that's not the truth. It will happen. It could happen anytime. And it's good to, Ajahn Chah said, it's good to incorporate into your language this uncertainty. So when we say goodnight to each other at the monastery, we'll say, hope to see you in the morning, because you never know, going to be here or not, and just that reminder, like, yeah, I don't know. Leave every interaction in a good way, because you don't know. Is this the last time you see them? Keep telling people you love that you love them. And eventually you'll love everyone. So you can always say that. Yeah. Okay. Those who in youth have not led the holy life. Now I would take the holy life here, not as monastic, but just being on the path, investigating this, and to really recognize that whether the form you take up is monastic form or lay life, you can still make your life a holy life. Ajahn Ganha is this monk in Thailand that we visit, who's an amazing teacher, and he said anyone can be pra. It's the Thai way of saying noble. And at first the translator was translating it as monk. Anyone can be monk. Anyone can be monk. And we're like, really? I don't know. There's a lot of questions about that. But when you really get to the meaning of that word, it's anyone can be noble. You can live a noble life as a lay person, and you can take this all the way to the end. And there's no reason to hold back or think, I can't do it. Just set that aside and do it. So it says if they have not led the holy life, so they've not really engaged in this inquiry, and they don't have wealth, they languish like old cranes in a pond without fish. Now, what kind of wealth are we talking about here? Because we know that you ain't going to take it with you. It's like, those who in youth have not led the holy life and have failed to acquire wealth lie like worn out worms shot from a bow. Worn out arrows, sure. There are no worms involved. There actually are worms involved, but they're not in this text. Okay.
Oh,
Sorry. Worn out arrows shot from a bow. sighing over the past. I mean, of course, wealth helps. There are more options. There are more choices. There's probably more pain relief. So we can have a lot of compassion when people don't have access to those things, and be very grateful if we do. But we can't take it with us. We all have to die.
Wait, so this one, those who not live the holy life and fail to acquire wealth,
Mm-hmm.
are they referring to literal wealth?
You
Or
know,
like the wealth of the whole, like the spiritual practice?
I hope they're referring to
Yeah.
the spiritual practice. Have not acquired the, yeah. That's the only thing that really makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's right.
I was thinking it could be something like, better either do the holy life or you better get rich. You're away from
We know that that doesn't really fit with the whole context here. So it's not going to be that kind of wealth. It's going to be the wealth of realization.
I was confused, just to let you know.
Yeah. And I wasn't clearing it up until Ariane prodded me. Thank you.
I have Sujata here.
Oh yeah,
and
go
I'm
for
not
it.
Sure, again, it can be. It's when young they spurned the spiritual path and failed to earn any wealth. Now they languish like old cranes in a pond bereft with fish. So I'm not
Same
sure.
idea with the wealth.
Yeah.
We still have to, I think, read into that.
Yeah.
What is true wealth? You
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
So because even if they did, have many riches and like home, family, and so forth, they're still going to languish at the end. Nothing
Yep.
spiritual.
Yep.
Final.
May I say something?
Oh, you got a question. Were you finished, Stephen? Were you finished?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Carol. Sorry, I haven't in the screen very much.
It's okay, no worries. I just wanted to say something. That very last verse where it says, lie like worn out arrows, shot from a bow, sighing over the past. To me, it just sounds like you're so full of regrets, like sighing over the past, like you look over your past life and you just have a big, like, I wasted it. I don't know. That was just, I don't know. It just really struck me.
It can easily be that experience. I mean,
Yeah.
you think about, like this morning in the Dhamma talk this morning, I mentioned I was remembering this old poster that they probably still have around. There are those people who make things happen, those who watch what happens, and those who wonder what happened. That thing. And I thought when I was young, I want to be one who makes things happen. That was our conditioning, right? You're gonna change the world. You're gonna accomplish things, and then what happens? Midlife crises are about recognizing, well, those big ideas I had aren't going to happen, right? If we haven't done a kind of midlife course correction to something more realistic, we're probably going to be suffering there. We're going to be having regrets and maybe a lot of trouble understanding who we are when we really are none of this. So no wonder, right? And then, what happens as we get even older and we start to, things just start to fall away. We can't hold on to the house we lived in. We can't hold on to the situation we had. We can't hold on to the people we love and the people who've been supportive of us. And unless we really follow the path and look at reality, it's going to be painful. Yeah, thank you, Carol. It is a really potent image.
Yeah, it just was there's just that verse. It just really the vision in my mind, sigh over the past. It's like your entire life was you just sigh. It makes you wake up. It forces you to sit up and say, wait a minute. And what can I do with what I have left?
Yeah, exactly. I said that to one of the Kruba Ajahns in Thailand once. I said, I want to use the time I have left as well as I can for awakening. And his first question was, so are you going to die soon? I was like, no, I don't know. There's nothing like that, but we all have that. How much time do we have left?
Isn't that what clinging is? To lament about the past? Isn't that
it's a big
clinging?
part of it? Yeah. But we cling to all kinds of things.
Yeah.
We cling to the image we have of ourselves.
Yeah.
And when we suffer, that's when we know we're clinging. Like, I was really surprised when I stopped working. I already knew I wanted the spiritual path to be the whole of my life. And I wasn't yet sure that I would follow the path I followed. But when I stopped working, I stopped getting a paycheck. I really felt it. It's like, well, wait a minute. Like, I count this paycheck as part of my identity. It's like, that's kind of like part of my self-worth. And now it's not there. Well, that's interesting. That's baloney, and I knew that much, it's like, just to recognize that when we have those twinges, it's really good to be present with those. Listen to it. Listen to your mind, the things it says. Not the crazy stuff that pops into your head random, but that kind of thing that has some suffering along with it. And see, what is it that I've been believing that isn't true? Just really like, oh, hey, I'm not my paycheck. And I'm not what other people think of me.
Yeah, well, I think
there's another one.
Yeah, I think there are very few obstacles when one. What I mean by that is that I remember suffering before I started studying Buddhism. I remember suffering, and I knew what that was, but there was always a distraction.
Yes.
And once I started studying Buddhism, especially the Theravada, my distractions were falling away.
Yes. And that's what we have to do. Okay, go ahead.
So the suffering felt much stronger.
The suffering is much stronger because you can't distract yourself.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But then you weaken it again by turning towards it. So the suffering is going to be stronger if we try to push it away.
Yeah.
If we turn towards it,
yeah.
Like when you talk about feeding your demons, and the suffering is the demon, right? And then, it can seem like that's really big. I recently talked about this friend of mine years ago who said, all of those monkeys are in this barrel with a tight lid on it, and I'm not going to let them out. So there's all the stuff I feel bad about, all the things I don't want to look at about myself. I don't want to look at any of that. He said, I see no benefit in looking at any of that. And it's like, it's like we think it's so big, but then if we face it, it kind of shrinks. Mm-hmm. It's not as potent as we fear it to be, right? But yes, we're programmed really to try to distract ourselves. That's why the 8 precepts is valuable, because you decide to not use entertainment, beautification, or adornment, or sleep, or eating, going to the refrigerator whenever you want, or having sex, or you could add some things in there like going shopping or calling your friends on the phone or whatever. Like when we're suffering, how do we try to pull away from it? And there's a lot of ways. But if we decide, I'm going to stay present with this experience, I'm going to observe this with mindfulness, then you can watch it change and you can watch it disintegrate. You can observe what the craving and what the clinging is behind it, the attachment. I've grasped this, and that's why it hurts. And if I let go of it and I observe it with wisdom, the hurting stops. Even when the situation hasn't changed. Because cessation of suffering is not about the situation ceasing. Everything that arises will cease, but that's not the cessation that he was talking about. It's the cessation of the clinging, of the grasping. That's when we're really free. Because if it's just about it going away, it's going to come back. We're not free of that suffering. It's not just about the change in circumstances. Sometimes we need to change the circumstances because we're so overwhelmed we can't do anything else. But the more we practice, the more our ability to be present with what we experience strengthens, and the more confidence we gain in the witnessing position. And we can do it. Another thing to remember is that sometimes we can cling to the suffering itself. Like sometimes you'll see someone who doesn't want to let go of their grief. They don't want to let it take its natural course, and of shifting and dispersing. And so we have to be careful about that too. When sometimes we make suffering part of our identity and we're clinging to it. And so we don't want to do that either. Sometimes we can develop a habit of being a victim. And another part of this is when we're facing our experience, we are not blaming anything outside ourselves. It's not even about the story or the content of what brought us to this suffering at all anymore. It's about turning inwards. I mean, it's always possible to blame somebody or something for how we feel, but it doesn't get us anywhere.
Is that what is meant by the phrase "turn all blames into one"?
Turn all blames into one. Into one. I don't know.
I'm not sure which tradition that comes from.
Yeah, I don't know that story, that phrase, that idea, but I would imagine. I mean.
No one else here has heard of that because it's always tripped me up. Like, what does that mean? But it almost sounds like what you're saying. Like when you're in that, when you're really witnessing your suffering, blame is not relevant.
It's not relevant. It keeps us distracted from what we're really struggling with.
Another distraction,
It's another distraction, attachment. I mean, we can put a lot of energy into blaming society, the government, our parents, the people we live with, the circumstances of our life. We can blame all kinds of things. But if we do that, it's always going outside. It's always going out to look for the problem. I knew someone who had trouble sleeping, and the first thing that would happen when they would wake up at night was, who's to blame for making the noise that caused me to wake up? It's like it's always going to be something if we are looking outside ourselves. So the key is turning inwards. The unconditioned is discovered internally. It's nowhere out there. Yeah. It's such an amazing path. The Buddha was so brilliant. The way he explained it all, described it all, the way it's been passed down. So much gratitude for all of that. Yeah. anything else for old age? Got any other ideas about old age? Because boy, I'm officially old, 72.
I'm older than you by far.
Man, you're still engaged in the path. That's what's important.
It's so important to me.
Yeah.
I've been finding some happiness in recollection of death because it occurred to me that actually what I feared more in life is like stagnation. And when I think of death, it's like that's a guaranteed change, like a guaranteed major change. And I can sort of work backwards from there and think, well, there are probably other changes that will happen too.
Yes.
So it sort of helps me get out of this cognitive bias of just thinking of only stagnation.
Yeah. So do you feel like the Dhamma can help you see how you never have to be stagnant?
Well, I found that it's been helpful to lean on the path, like as an object of faith, because the path is more like if you follow this, like if you follow the path, then it sets your life on a different course.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing a lot since like the second half of last year is like the path. Because like often when faith in the Dhamma is discussed, it's actually like the path and the fruit. And that's actually not how I was thinking of Dhamma before. So the path as an object of recollection, yeah.
As an object, as a way of being. Like even just the investigation of the sense of self. By the way, I've been choosing a theme that I use for 3 months for the sutta studies now. We've done it for the winter and the spring. We've got one more meeting on dependent origination. Winter time was mindfully facing disease and death. But this summer is going to be the summer of the sense of self. So we're going to look at suttas around that, and we've been recording those, and we just put them up on our own drive, but we have links to those recordings on our website. And so it's like even if your investigation is, how do I live according to Dhamma rather than the sense of self? That's a huge change. And it's not a change we usually make all at once because we don't even realize how much we're operating from the sense of self. And then what is it like to just live from the Dhamma without the sense of self? It's like the Brahma Viharas all the time, one or the other of the 4 of them. It's like giving and not expecting anything in return. And that's joyous. There's no stagnation.
Well, I'm curious about that because I always think of that as very much like an internal struggle, but there is presumably an external manifestation of letting go of the sense of self.
Yeah, you're different. you're interacting with people differently. You're not afraid of things. Like what is going to keep you up at night if you have no sense of self? Like, what are you going to worry about? There's nothing to worry about. It's like that's the biggest obstacle to our awakening. This identity view, this view that I am this person I am like this. I can do this. I can do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. Like that's, our pride and contempt. I loved that in there. You've got this body, it's full of disease, even if we don't know it. And then we've got this pride and contempt in there, contempt for conventional reality, maybe contempt for whatever we think was unfair, or whatever. And pride in what, but just unearthing, uprooting all that, just to explore it. It's a huge adventure. The part that gets depressed, the part that gets stagnant, is when we're stuck in our sense of self.
Think about
Good.
I think it failed to acquire wealth.
The wealth of the path.
Yeah.
Because you didn't apply
Yeah.
yourself to it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, right effort sounds like you have to like really like bear down and hold on, and a lot of times meditation is presented that way, like you have an object, you've got to keep like keeping your focus on it and really, but that's not really the effort that awakens you. The effort is this patient, consistent determination to be present with whatever we experience. And as we do that, we are resting in the unconditioned. That's where awareness is. That's what's there. That's where it comes from. Yes.
I always thought that it would be really difficult to both let go of your sense of self and also be in this world and be responsible.
But it's not.
Participate in the world would mean like how do you associate? But when you say that it's like a patient endurance or a patient sort of being with whatever your experience is, the experience of being responsible would be included, right?
Yeah.
Or the experience of participating in
Yeah.
society.
Your motivation is different.
Your motivation.
Because you're not motivated by how will this look and will this be acceptable and what will people think and am I doing it right? Perfectionism, that goes, because there's no way you can make a personality perfect. We can't become perfect. It just doesn't work because everything's changing. All this stuff that we think is ourselves changes. So even if you could reach perfection, it's going to stay there for a few seconds and then it's going to start going the other way because that's what it does. So it's like all that goes away. And then what motivates you? What do you incline towards? You incline towards kindness and peace. And the Brahma Viharas, loving kindness, compassion, the joy and goodness and equanimity to just be able to be present with whatever garbage is happening or whatever. Yeah, you definitely take care of responsible for. You take care of the body, even though you know it's going to fall apart. It is falling apart, but it's useful.
It's a relief.
Yeah.
See that they're not. There's no incompatibility there. They're compatible.
Yeah. It is a little like living in the world but not being of the world. It's very that kind of thing. And also there's an ability to experience or see the good in the world in a different way. Because there's that resonance with the unconditioned, and to be able to recognize the goodness and faith in people is quite beautiful. And the potential in people. regardless of whatever you did in the past, whatever happened, whatever you've done, it's not an obstacle to awakening. So do it. Come on. Yes.
Ever since at the Spirit Rock Retreat, the last Dhamma reflection that you offered an invitation to study the non-self and to work with the witness. And I really heard that, like, it penetrated me. So thank you. And that really opened up this deep exploration for me since then of this. And it's been really, really rich. And as life would have it, I had an opportunity to really study it in this very specific way around the body. Because I had a hangnail that 3 weeks ago turned into this wild infection that turned into lymphangitis.
Oh, yeah.
2 trips to the ER.
Yeah.
6 antibiotics in 3 days. And
didn't want that to go septic.
Exactly. So here I am in the emergency department, and there's all of this high stakes energy around, and the people I love and who love me, I'm hearing and feeling like, oh, that's so scary. Oh, wow. I'm so scared. And I have to say, I didn't feel any fear. And it was this really beautiful opportunity for me.
Wonderful.
It was so cool. It was just, I really I had an opportunity to sit for these hours, 2 visits in the ER in practice of, there's this bacteria in this body that is invasive, and I'm getting these antibiotics that are working to eradicate the bacteria. It was just, I had that witness, and a lot of 2 weeks recovery from that, and a lot of practice with that. And regardless, it has just been wildly rich and really, I had a visceral experience with it.
Yep.
Yep. So I really thank you so much for that invitation, and it opened.
It's your good come up.
Yeah. And it was just really interesting. I'll say again, like, people I share about to date, most often I find it fascinating. They say, "Oh my God, that's so scary," and I am like, yeah, that wasn't my experience really at all.
Yeah. But if you come from the sense of self, if we're attached to this body, it's scary.
Yeah.
But that's going to be scary until we let it go. That's great.
It was a very new experience for me to be with that in that way.
And it was powerful, and you'll remember it. And if the sense of self is coming up, you'll be able to remind that more primitive part, that conditioned part of yourself, of that experience. You're going to come back to that. You come back to that. You can even sit with that in meditation and let that bloom. See where else it takes you to really let go of the sense of self completely.
I found that all 5 aggregates, I had an opportunity to work with all of them through that 2 weeks.
That's great.
Being home from work and working with all the symptoms that I was working with, mental formations. Okay, perception is here. I'll work with you now.
And that perspective of, I'm present with this.
Yeah.
I'm not this.
Yeah.
So good.
So good.
And see, like, this is insane, right? This is by normal worldly standards. It's insane, but by Dhamma standards, it's the only thing that's sane. Yeah. And we can make absolutely everything that happens to us, everything we encounter, practice. Everything. Because it's all got that juice in it. Whatever we're feeling about it, we can observe that, we can understand it, we can let it go. Yeah.
I just want to say, I heard that last Dhamma talk. It was dynamite.
Yes. Yes.
I'm glad. Okay, friends, I think we're in wrap it up mode.
No, sure.
So
It's here.
see you next time
2 copies.
with the self. Ha ha ha. And if you want to join Sutta study, feel welcome. Of course. Friday nights, 7 to 9, online, in person, whatever.
All summer long.
Except that there are times when we won't be there because I'm teaching at the Spirit Rock Family Camp at the end of July. There's a couple other things on the calendar. So looking at our calendar is the right way to go to see when Sutta study isn't happening or when Saturday morning. So, I think Saturday morning, usually we've got someone to fill in. But yeah,